Hi LinkedIn, it's been 2 weeks now since I launched my first Kickstarter campaign, and so I wanted to take a little bit of time today to share my 7 biggest lessons that I've learned since going live 2 weeks ago. We are now at 89% of our final funding goal. We have just over €500 left to raise, and we have about 3 weeks in which to do the final fundraising. So things have been going good. In this time as well, I have moved countries, moved from Germany to Portugal. That is an added stress that I wouldn't recommend anyone puts on themselves when they're in the middle of launching a Kickstarter campaign. But that's what I did, that's where I am now. So I'm now settling into my new apartment, and I have 7 tips to share with you and lessons that I've learned from the Kickstarter campaign. So let's get started with them. Number 1, the biggest thing that I learned that's really key is to generate interest before going live. So many of you on here will know that I got made redundant in March of this year as COVID really started to affect Germany. And I used that as an opportunity to launch my business, and it meant that I have done everything in a relatively short time frame, from idea to creation to launch. About 2 months prior to launching, I started gaining interest on social media, and that meant that on the day where I did go live, I already reached about 40% of my funding goal within the first 24 hours. As a general rule, I've read many times that you should aim to have between 20 and 30% of your funding hit in the first 24 hours. That tends to be a good indication of being able to reach the target overall. And so having that initial backing is absolutely crucial. So this leads me on to point number 2, which is to keep doing the things, to have consistency with the things that you know are important to do. So for me, there were times where I felt like I was getting a lot of traction with social media, with LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and there were also days where my posts weren't really getting very much engagement. But I knew that this was important to do, and I knew that I needed to work out the kind of right formula that was going to resonate with people within my network. So I just kept trying, and there were also things which sort of fell to the side, where I know that if I was doing this in future, I would need to have more consistency with it. But I think the crucial thing that I learned there was that people expect you to show up, and it's really, really important that you do show up on those platforms that you're using to launch. Number 3 also links in with social media strategies, and this was a really interesting lesson for me because in the lead up to my launch date, I had a really good amount of consistent engagement from certain people on Instagram. So a handful of people that would always like or comment on my posts, but they never converted to a sale. And conversely, there were people that followed me early on but never said anything, never interacted with my posts, but they were in some of the first few sales that took place. So while social media is a good indication of where you are, of the people who are potentially going to buy your product, it's definitely not foolproof. So it's just very, very interesting to watch and monitor the people that are happy to engage but not happy to buy, and vice versa. Lesson number 4 for me has been the value of looking for grants and other kind of funding. I got very, very lucky in the early stages of this project that I was funded by the Hamburg Creative Gesellschaft. They gave some money in order for me to launch or to create a video for the Kickstarter project. And that was really, really crucial, and it really opened my eyes to the fact that there are so many options out there. There are so many funding options. And so with just a little bit of looking, you can find something that will give a big boost to your campaign. So that also leads into number 5, which is the value of creating a video. if you Google anything about Kickstarter projects, everyone will tell you video is king. Have a video. About 80% of successfully funded projects have a video. And for me personally, it's been the one thing that people have referenced all the time in their messages that has definitely created a lot of excitement around the project. So I would highly recommend, no matter what your budget is, to get a video on your Kickstarter campaign. Lesson number 6 for me has been to very carefully monitor the people that you ask for input in your campaign. Don't take advice from everyone. Don't ask for advice from everyone. That's definitely a mistake that I've made throughout different points of the journey, from product creation to marketing. I was very keen on pleasing everyone, and that's simply not possible. So have a select few inner circle whose advice you go to, and then block out the rest as much as you can. And lesson number 7 for me has been just how willing people are to help out and support, and that's been really, really fantastic. It's been quite emotional to see how many people have reached out, have offered advice and help with the campaign, sharing it, buying the product, wanting to support it, really believing in the product. And for me, that's just translated to wanting to help other people with their projects even more, understanding that nervousness and anxiety that first-time business owners feel. And so it's really opened my eyes to wanting to give back to other people and to help them even more. So it's a really, really nice community to be in, and launching a Kickstarter campaign has definitely filled me with gratitude for, you know, the reactions and the willingness of other people to help. So they are my 7 biggest lessons that I've learned from my Kickstarter campaign so far. I still have 3 weeks to go, so I will definitely do another video once we get to the end of those 3 weeks, but for now, those are my biggest lessons to date.